Thank you for tuning in to Splat Attack. This episode, we will be discussing our top 5 favorite Salute Your Shorts episodes with special guests Venus DeMilo and Justin Galosi. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you are listening on a podcast app, please leave us a review if the app you are using allows you to do so. I know you hear this a lot from other content creators, but in all honesty, it does help our channel grow so we can reach more Slimesters who are looking for memories of our slime-filled past. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe to our Patreon. We have exclusive episodes, bonus content, and watch parties every month. Go to patreon.com/splatattack. Thank you all for your support, and enjoy our top 5 favorite Salute Your Shorts episodes.
No TV, no parents, no phone, no piano lessons. Playing baseball and living in a bunk, it's totally uncivilized. Playing baseball, living in a bunk, it's total freedom. If you despise camp, watch Salute Your Shorts. And if you love camp, watch Salute Your Shorts.
Nickelodeon loves, hates camp on Salute Your Shorts. Weekdays at 5:30, 4:30 Central.
On Nickelodeon.
Welcome to the new improved Slime Tank, Slimesters and Gackoids. This is Splat Attack, a video-powered 90s podcast dedicated to preserving our slime-filled past. I'm your Gack Pack co-host, Brett.
And I'm your Slimerific co-host, Alex. And Brett, what are we doing at camp today?
Well, summer camp is a place I like to call home, away from home, and all the chaos of, just get away from all the chaos of town. It's got birds, trees, bees. It's even got scraped knees from all the outdoor activities kids do here daily. Man, I sound like a rapper or something. I felt it was time to retreat to the woods and just decompress and get away from it all, especially all those beach episodes we've done. So, what better place to go to than the happiest place on earth, as Dr. Kahn would say, Camp Awnawana.
Yeah, I've heard about this place before in my childhood somewhere along the line.
Yeah, me too. The show always filled me with so much joyful memories, so it only made sense that we'd visit this pristine location, as I got behind me a nice picture of Franklin Canyon National Park where it was filmed. Of course, we're talking Salute Your Shorts today, and before we head on our adventure to tour, the different areas and activities around camp, who do we have to join us as our bunkmates?
Hey everybody, it's awful time!
Well, we have friend of the podcast, Justin Galosi, and also Salute Your Shorts alum, Venus DeMilo, who was Telly on the show. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Excited to do this.
Yeah, thanks for guiding us around camp. I mean, it's been so many years since we've visited here, and I know Salute Your Shorts is a personal, cult classic favorite among the 90s Nickelodeon community. I know Alex and I personally just love revisiting it over and over again, and even Justin too, as we've all had some experience talking about the show on podcast or on videos or Instagram Live, you name it. So we're really excited to just share some of our favorite episodes that come to mind that spark some fond memories, both when we grew up with it and even now.
So before we dive into what are we talking about today, Brett?
Well, we're actually talking about our favorite Salute Your Shorts episodes. And basically what we're going to do is similar to the 90s Nick Jr. one, is we'll just list a few of our favorites. For the sake of time, we're going to do 3 each since it's a lot to get through. But I figured, pick any of them that have a specific memorable aspect to it and explain why they're our favorite picks. And after all that's done, we're going to do one honorable mention and then head right into one of our patented segments.
So before we go into that, I know that Salute Your Shorts means a lot to both myself and to Brett, but we're going to shift over to Justin for a moment. And Justin, what does Salute Your Shorts mean to you? How did you get into the show? What memories do you have?
Well, I remember catching it when it first aired for the first time. So I've been along since day one. What it means to me, even to this day, when it's hot out and it's summertime and I don't have access to a pool, I like to just come inside and plop down and watch episodes of Salute Your Shorts. I've been doing it all summer, actually, even before Brett invited me on to do this. I was already in the mood to watch some episodes, so it's something I revisit often. It just reminds me of, I've never been to camp, so I don't have that kind of connection, but it just reminds me of being a kid, summer, hanging out with your best friends, and just making some good memories.
That's wonderful to hear, Justin. Yeah, I always felt that whenever the show came on, like one of the best things about watching it was just feeling that deep connection to all the characters. It was like these kids that you would just meet in everyday life, except you got to go to camp with them through the TV show, which I think is great.
And Venus, obviously we know your connection with the show, but what did being on this show mean to you?
Oh man, it to this day I love the response that I get from people, like people that have actually known me but didn't realize I was on the show, especially. And they're like, "You don't understand. My brother just sent me this song, and we just send it to each other just to cheer each other up. Like it's a part of my like who I am, you know." So it's so cool to see that. I mean, especially with that song. I mean, you can start singing it anywhere, and somebody will join in. You know, it's amazing to me how many people it's actually touched. You know. And how cool it's still you know around and watching it still today. It's actually funny. It's actually good. You know, it still holds up. And then that time period, that the 90s, like it takes you back to that time and that feeling when before a lot of the things are the way they are now. We were living in almost like a different world. So it really does transport you to a different time, a different place, and it lets you like get a break from, you know, the craziness that is today. You know,
I just thought of something because I've had the opportunity to interview you before, just about a little over a year ago, and I didn't think about this until just now. But how many times do you get asked to do the theme song?
No, I don't have to be asked. I just start singing, and everyone just starts singing along. You know, the funny thing is like I could be anywhere and be talking to someone, and then they'll overhear us talking and still not know I was on the show, and they're like, just start singing the song, like you know. It's like so. It's but no, I love it so much. It's so much fun. And every time you start singing it, everybody who wants to join in, it's just always a good time, you know.
I'm trying very hard to restrain myself from starting to sing now.
And it's like that trumpet. It's like when you hear that trumpet start, it's like it's time, you know. It like it gets you going. I don't know what it is. I think any song that let you say fart, especially for our age range, it was just almost like, you know, like yeah. You know, it was like a bad song you could sing, you know, get away, not really get in trouble. Yeah, totally.
Well, speaking of taboo, one of my picks has something that's fairly taboo. So let's jump into our top 3 favorite picks. So we'll start off with Brett. What is one of your choices, my friend?
Well, I picked these in order, so I'm going from season 1 to season 2 with my picks. And as much as I'd love to pick literally like every episode of this show because I really do love it that much, I went for the more like deeper cuts with my 3 picks. And this one really speaks to me because even though I wasn't very good at sports growing up, like I showed a good hustle, but I just couldn't like throw balls very well. This one gave me a lot of inspiration to just like keep trying and the importance of being like a key team player when it came to like group activities, especially when it was like at camp or even in gym class. And something about this one just really resonated with me in terms of like having your character, Venus, really step it up and demonstrate leadership. And it connected a lot to like me getting in Boy Scouts and also becoming like senior patrol leader when I, you know, rose through the ranks in Scouts. So for that reason, I'm going to pick toilet seat basketball as my first pick.
That's great. That's
fun. A good one.
Do you have any specific memories tied to doing that one, Venus?
Yes. We had gosh, we had a lot of fun, actually being on the court. So like shooting on a basketball court and being outside with all the cameras and everything, like that's just so much fun. And actually being able to be physical. Like I specifically remember the thing where Sponge and Donkeylips are throwing something back and forth through like that was just so cool. Like shooting that and yeah, that was a really good episode for sure.
I particularly love Ugg's line when he was like practicing to be referee for the game, where he's like, traveling, blocking, charging, you're out of there, and like blowing the whistle.
I blow my whistle and I dispense justice. You're out of there! Traveling, blocking, charging, 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 you're out of there!
That was really funny. Oh gosh, yeah. Kirk, we miss him so much.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, Venus, but just a quick aside, I actually did like a tribute, like a memorial statue that I illustrated for him upon his passing back in March on my Brett Wilson Art Instagram page. So if you haven't seen it.
You're the artist. Oh, I do love your stuff.
I do a lot of Salute You Short stuff.
Oh, well now I know. Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah, it's like a bronze statue of Ugg, and I did like, if Alex swipes one page, it has like a plaque on it that I wrote for him to like honor his memory.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. Oh, yeah, that's so sweet.
Just to finish up on toilet seat basketball, it really got me like into sports, even though I wasn't that good in it, and it really taught me a lot about leadership because it showed me example of like what makes a good leader in terms of bringing the team together and coordinating to like win and have a positive attitude. And then it showed the bad example with Budnick, who was just essentially selfish and a ball hog, and of course that cost you guys the game, and put your pitcher on that toilet seat that I think someone threw some crumpled paper through the loser seat.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, that's good to hear that those episodes really. I mean, it like helped make you a better person. Like that's crazy.
It really did in a strange way. So I'm very honored to share that with you, that you're here tonight.
Yeah. That's great. Wow.
Well, my three picks I don't have in any specific order. Like not even among my personal favorite to my second. I just, much like Brett, I love them all, but among my favorites, these are three of them. And because I don't think there is a bad Salute Your Shorts episode. It was so short that they all were solid. It never got to a bad season or a bad episode. But Salute Your Shorts was one of the first TV shows that I really got into as a kid. And even though that some of it may be stereotypical with its storylines in some places in comparison with other kid shows, there's still a twist to it for Salute Your Shorts that makes it unique. And with it being my first series that I had seen, I didn't realize that some of the stories were pretty ordinary for the kids programming. So they still really resonated with me. And this one in particular is the radio call-in contest.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that really hit me when I was a kid because I'm no genius, but I was the awkward kid in my class. I was the more smart one, and I was usually in my books, and I would read and draw, and then all the other kids were more into doing more adventurous things and playing Four Squared on recess. So I really resonated with Sponge in this episode, and especially because whenever there was a class project, everybody would want me to do all the work. And I didn't want to do all of their work. I wanted to do my work and they contribute. And that's kind of what happened on this episode because Sponge called in for the radio. Well, Michael called in for the radio contest, but he had the answer. And then everyone else was wanting to get in on the action because the big thing is after you would answer 3 questions, you'd get $1,000. So everyone is coming out the woodwork, Telly, with I know all this great sports.
Yeah.
And Budnick, well, I know all these music things, and everyone wanted to just feed Sponge with all this information to the point where he was frazzled, and everyone was really using him and not really working with him. And until the very end, it seemed like he appreciated their knowledge, which was cool to see. But the thing that I remembered most was the fact that the word "pissed" is in this episode.
It's not the stupid contest. I'm pissed off because I'm not as smart as I thought I was.
Which, again, as a kid, I didn't know that that's not something you're supposed to say. But at least for a child who's 6 or 7 years old, you're not supposed to say that. But I did really appreciate the main story of this episode. So that always stuck with me, of the brainy one with everyone else wanting to feed off that.
Oh, it's so cool that everybody could identify with the characters so well and really take them, like, internalize that and like be able to feel more comfortable with yourself because we're represented, and that's what's so great about the show, I guess. I didn't realize that it could be such a teaching space for people.
Yeah, especially when you're such a young age and you're learning about sportsmanship and about being a part of a group and things like that. Mm-hmm. It's TV shows are just as influential as the way political parties are for adults, right? For a child in the mindset of a child.
Justin, do you have anything to add about radio calling contest? Because I know you and I like to talk about it on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, it's on my list. It's one of the 3 that I picked. I love trivia. I absolutely love trivia. Everything that was trivia based in that episode sticks with me to this day. I randomly drop that knowledge on people and bring it up and reference it more often than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, what color is a giraffe's tongue?
Black.
It's black, which I didn't know at the time, and that blew my mind. Right? And there wasn't Google in your pocket to just look it up. I was just like, that's
yes. It's a different time for sure.
It really was.
But it was great how everybody comes together, and like I love when the kids all work together towards a common goal in the episodes. And the fact that even Ugg, like they were trying to evade Ugg, and then he comes in and comes through with the answer. Everybody just working together, the stakes were high, and I feel like that's one thing that this show does so good, is just makes those stakes so high that you're on the edge of your seat. Like, are they going to get in trouble, and are they going to win the money? It was just a great episode. Sponge didn't get any sleep, and everybody's just drilling him with all this knowledge, and it's just a lot of fun from start to finish.
Ugg's description of the giraffe, the team mascot giraffe at the end, and the way he delivered that line, he would say, "Go team."
Our team mascot was a giraffe, a big yellow giraffe. And every time he came out, he'd scream, "Go giraffes."
I thought it still gets me every time when I laugh.
Yeah, he's like restraining his excitement because he's just so happy to contribute since everyone else already gave their 2 cents to Sponge to help him win. In regards to what Justin said, this is also one of my favorites, but it's not on my list because I have a different Sponge one on there, hint, hint. I really do enjoy trivia as well growing up, and I was actually on the high school bowl team to kind of get into that mindset of like applying random knowledge, whether I got it from TV or like school, to like compete. And I was a little bit too young to remember this episode, but it was one of those ones where I came back to it later and appreciate it because I felt like Sponge was definitely a representative for anyone nerdy or anyone who could like use their smarts to their advantage, where maybe they weren't the strongest kid in the room, but they didn't need to be because it was a calling contest. So it was very memorable for all the trivia and even the quotes too. I think one of my favorites from that is like when Dina says,
"For 1,000,000 I run, for 1,000 I'll just walk a little faster."
Yeah. Oh, is it my turn now?
Yeah, what is one of your favorites?
Oh,
Either to watch or have done.
We were talking about it earlier. I would say the Telly and Dina episode where we were trying to compete for bunk chief. That is something that kind of sticks with me. Shooting that was really special. And yeah. Now, like, my mind is like drawing a complete blank, though. But I feel like there's some lines in there that I definitely, about becoming bunk chief and the responsibility. And it was doing a monologue like that at that age was pretty cool, like, especially talking about, it's like almost like, politics or something, and so it was cool to be that adult about something so childish, So yeah, that was definitely a fun episode.
If nothing else, I remember it for the epic pie scene at the end after all the boys like painstakingly.
Yeah. That pie fight. I mean, I was getting ready to take my entrance exam for high school, so I was 8th grade going into 9th grade, and that night we shot that scene, and I still had like pie in my hair from the night before. So I remember sitting there and like my hands were all sticky and like it's like I'm taking this test, like, oh my god, how am I gonna get into, am I gonna have algebra or what? But like, it just, that was, so I vividly remember that time period, and that pie fight was epic and so much fun to shoot. I mean, having unlimited pies to throw at each other. And we were, when you watch it, you can tell we were having fun. And the way that, like, we were throwing them at each other, like, I don't even know how they even got a take without us laughing. Because it's like, and to be able to, everyone would love to have a pie fight. But first of all, you're never going to have that many pies available in real life. Hopefully not. And if you do, you're not going to be throwing them all, right? So, I mean, being able to have that fight and then have people clean it up and then do it again and then change clothes and then do it again, it's like, it was really fun. So yeah, I think it's almost like it's the pie fight episode for me. So I think that's the part of it for sure.
I think that scene alone had more pie slinging than the entire series of What Would You Do at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is known for pie.
We didn't have slime on our show or anything, but we didn't need it because there's always some, like, I remember the boys like had to pretend like they were throwing up. And so they had like chunky chicken soup. Like, so there was always some sort of like cool, gross thing happening. In every episode, some kind of way, we made our own slime.
Well, the show didn't really need it because you guys had so many characters and just goofy moment, and the style for it too, the way it was shot. It's so easily identifiable that it's quirky and it works, especially for Nickelodeon. Brett, what is your second choice?
Well, I hinted at it a little bit when we talked about Radio Calling Contest, but this one is like the epitome of a Sponge-focused episode to me. So it's from season 2, and it's called Sponge Goes to the Movies. And it basically involves like him and Pinsky like joining a computer club after like all the other clubs are filled up at the amphitheater, and they like somehow connect to this like dial-up modem back then, which like blew my mind because the internet came out the same year in 1991.
Wow.
So it was like, whoa, Sponge is using his like chunky IBM laptop, which like nobody has back then, to like dial into the internet and like reach all these places over the world. And Pinsky easily abuses that to like get what he wants, and then everyone else like piles into the bunk to like make calls to all over different countries. And I actually remember your character, Venus, Telly, called to like Michael Jordan on that hotline, which is pretty wild.
Yeah. Wow.
What really stands out to me is that like even though Sponge didn't feel like he was totally on board at first with like Pinsky setting him up on a blind date with another girl and this other girl that Pinsky wanted to see from like across the lake at another camp, it actually turned out pretty great. They all went to the movies together, and then of course Budnick and Donkeylips trailed behind with like their video cam to try and catch footage of it. Whether that's to blackmail or for entertainment is anyone's guess, but just seeing all the hijinks ensue, them avoiding Ugg as he goes to the movies by coincidence, it's just a jolly good time. And I know Justin actually mentioned this in his Mona's mailbag letter that we had in episode 24, where we talked about the 2 Pete Summer episodes. So it definitely is memorable for that. And also the kiss that he had at the very end with, I think her name was Helga or Olga, one of the two. She has a similar name to a character on Hey Arnold. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that was awesome. And the way that they actually built that movie theater, like that the waiting, or like the area before you go in, the concessions, it's like that was like they built that on our soundstage. So that was really cool. And I remember there was that like round circular couch thing, and it was like
kind of looked like a sombrero.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, yeah, that was, and then like it's somebody getting to kiss, like especially Sponge, you know, that was like a huge thing. I mean, and for us to just be kids there, and it's like, oh my God, he's got to do a kissing scene. Like, that's crazy, you know? But yeah, oh man, that was a lot of fun to do, for sure.
It gave me hope to find a girlfriend along the way. And sure enough, I did. So,
mission accomplished.
Thank goodness.
Well, my second choice, and I did not choose this because of our guest. I chose it prior to Venus being on the episode, but it is Telly and the tennis match.
Yeah.
This one really, I don't want to say spooked, but because that's not really a good term, but it left me with this really uncomfortable feeling because of Budnick. I really loved the way this episode played out because as a kid, I had a terrible temper, and especially whenever I played games and I lost. So to see this episode start with Telly losing a tennis match, and then she wants a rematch and blames it on the tennis racket, and then everyone's coming out, oh, here, how about this one? And no. Budnick, what do you have? And then the scene that I was mentioning earlier is when Telly goes into the bunk and all the lights are really dim and he's dressed in this nice suit and Donkeylips is beside him. It's like very much exactly yeah. Very much like a Godfather, and it is the coolest and the most eloquent I have ever seen Budnick. He's not doing any flatulence. He's not throwing out really gross humor. He's just being very sophisticated and very, very careful with his word choices, and then would feign offense. I'm giving you this racket in good faith. And then, of course, the shoe drops of, oh, but I have a promise. I'll have a favor that I want you to do for me one day. And then later in the episode, everyone is gambling on who's going to win the match. And then Telly gets all the favor. And he's like, okay, well, I need you to take a dive so I can get all this money. And that was the first time I had ever heard a story like this. And I was really, because I've seen the story before of I lost, I train, I do better, and I win. I've seen that so many times in kids shows. I've never seen I can do better. You are doing better. Great. Oh, we lost Venus. We'll wait for her.
Maybe she went to go get her tennis racket. She's like, wow, I remember that. I think I need to play now. Justin, while we're waiting for Venus to reconnect, do you have any thoughts on Telly and the tennis match?
Yeah, I really like the scene, like he was saying with Budnick. I love when Budnick's just that was him at his peak of like maturity, I would say. Like he said, like
hey, sorry,
it's okay.
So yeah, I just think it was a good story. I like the sports elements of the shows, and Telly was prominent in all of those. She is an elite athlete, and I really loved episodes where she got to show what she could do, and that was a good episode for teaching you a lesson about, the importance of integrity and sportsmanship and all
what was
that.
Also cool about that episode is it was over the summer, and we were getting ready to go back and shoot season 2. I think that was like the first episode back, and I got tennis lessons. So
Really?
they made sure, because like I didn't really have any experience playing tennis. So a couple months before that, I was taking tennis lessons every week so that I could look like I could play tennis. And they actually had doubles come in for me. They had 2 girls be doubles for me. I didn't need doubles. Come on. Come on, please. But yeah, so like that was really cool having my own stunt double. You know, as a kid, like you see that on the roster, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have, and but it was just awesome that I was able to like learn how to play tennis like from a real instructor, like, and it wasn't like something I had to pay for. Like they wanted me to do it, and to really be able to get into a character that much and do the research and do the hard work so that I could really, come off as Telly Radford. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And you do a lot of sports things. Do you still play tennis? Did you stick with
Yeah,
it?
I mean, right now for me, dodgeball plays a huge part of my life. I'm a part of the dodgeball community, so I've been playing for about 10 years. So that's just something that keeps me, in that same spirit of things. And people from all sports play dodgeball, which is really cool. So you're out there with baseball players, football players, basketball players, and people who don't play anything at all. And it doesn't matter what you look like. Anybody can be good and anybody can be bad. Just because you're really good at sports doesn't mean you can play dodgeball. And you really cannot underestimate anyone. Because anybody can get you out. But for me, dodgeball is, it's been like to be able to play that team sport and have that in your life is I feel like I'm really lucky as an adult to be able to still like have that much fun where you're yelling and screaming at the top of your lungs and running around and having, dancing and being crazy. There's not many places where you get to do that. So for me, dodgeball is that. But like I still I'll play tennis with my boyfriend, or I definitely try to stay active. We play frisbee golf a lot. So frisbee golf is a lot of fun. So anytime I go to any new state or something, I find the frisbee golf course there. And like we're getting ready to go to Ohio, so I'm gonna go play frisbee golf in Ohio, I guess. So that'll be fun. But yeah, so I mean, I'm still that camp kid. I feel like I don't know if I play sports because of Salute Your Shorts, or if I was an athlete before or after. Like, did Salute Your Shorts make me an athlete? I don't know, I can't tell you what came first, but I just love staying active. And I think, it's just something you got to do, especially these days. It's too crazy out there. Like, you have to have something to break the monotony, of just staying inside or
just kind of let loose.
Whatever. Yeah, and that definitely gives you the opportunity to do it. So
definitely.
Go dodgeball.
I've had my hand at playing dodgeball back in college because RET tried to set the world record in 2008 for largest dodgeball team. So they literally got the entire campus together, split it in half at the Gordon something stadium. And we just played for 2 straight hours until the last person was out. And it was amazing, just to feel like you're part of something bigger. And even if you completely sucked at it and you're the first one out, at least you had the opportunity to lob a soft, sport ball into someone's face and just be like, yeah, take that for, cutting me in line at the lunch cafeteria or something like that. It's just one of those communal sports you can really bond with because it's just.
And I think it gets a bad rap because people have this misconception that I'm not good at sports, or I was always picked last, or dodgeball, it hurt, or you've got to be, what's wrong with you if you feel like throwing things at people, but it's none of that stuff. It's just all fun. And if you play as an adult, it's totally different than when you were a kid. So you don't feel that rejection or whatever, you would feel getting out and that kind of stuff. It's just all fun and games. So I definitely recommend trying your local dodgeball league.
Definitely. Actually makes me wonder what a Salute Your Shorts episode would look like if it was centered around dodgeball.
Right? That would be a lot of fun. It would. We could play another camp or something like that. That would be cool. But we did Wild and Crazy Kids. I did an episode of Wild and Crazy Kids.
Yes, you did.
So that was fun, being able to be, because it was us against them. Yeah. and it was a mall that I just realized is here. It had just opened. So they're like, the stores weren't like open really. Like it was like they were just building it. And of course now it's like it's a regular mall, and it's like I used to roller skate in this mall. It's so cool to think like to go. I was like, I remember this mall. Like I was roller skating down the, so that was pretty cool. But yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, isn't it wild to think that when Salute Your Shorts was like first on the air and popular, all these big things were happening, like the mall and the birth of the internet. It's just mind-boggling to think how far we've come since then. But it's always it's always important to stay true to your roots, because it's still a special place to go to, whether it's.
And believe it or not, when we were shooting, the LA riots happened.
Really?
So I live in Inglewood, and we were shooting out in the valley. So my parents couldn't come and get me. So I ended up having to stay at Sponge's house. And so, because his mom was my guardian at the time, so I got to spend the night at his house. And I remember his brother coming home and watching me. I was watching like Yo MTV Raps or something, and it's just like, I couldn't even get home. So that was definitely a critical time in our history. Like you said, like about the internet and everything. That's just so cool.
Yeah, 1991, an important year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A little off topic, but they're bringing MTV Raps back right now. I just heard.
Wow!
I saw a commercial for it. It's coming back.
Venus, you want to get on and prove your skills?
Oh man, right? Oh man, I would love that.
Yo, these folks here, do you get my drift? Cause here's what Eggo minis were made to fit. See? That's what your mouth is for.
It's an Eggo mini door.
That's what they're about.
Eggo minis the waffles inside your house.
That's right, you can get them on down. Yeah, one at a time or more if you can.
In your mouth.
That's the plan. That's where they fit. That's what they're about.
But don't Leggo your egg until it's in your mouth.
Eggo minis, part of this complete breakfast that's made to fit
In your mouth.
Shoot,
You and Sponge should go up against each other.
Man, let's make a video. Let's do it.
Right?
But Justin, what is your second pick?
All right. Well, so my second pick, depending where you look, is called Donkeylips and Sponge Weigh In, or Cheeseburgers in Paradise. My love for Salute Your Shorts, I love that, like I said earlier, when the stakes are really high. I love a good heist, and they're trying to go get these burgers. Everything that can go wrong goes wrong. There's just the scene at the burger hut with Ugg and the lady working it. I can't get enough of that. I can't get enough of just his performances in general, but I just remembered it just cracks me up. And sometimes in situations like when I feel like I'm being a little bit too schmoozy or whatever the word is, I'm kind of keen on a girl, and I'm like, don't be an Ugg. Don't keep it together. Don't, but with the series, I feel like everybody on the show, the whole cast and all the characters, there's something in all of the people I grew up with, in all of those characters. Like I can relate to like each character, and I always felt like I was the Donkeylips. And I know Brett and we've talked about that a lot. And in this episode particularly, there's a scene where Donkeylips is talking about how important this is to him, and the lobster dinner, which seafood's my favorite thing too. So there's that, but where he says about how his parents really care a lot, because when he brings home trophies, that's what's important. And that was kind of what was important to my dad. It was that, doing sports and stuff like that. So, and also at the age that came out, or when that came out, at that age, I was looking to find myself and my identity. And I've always been moderately athletic. And that's how I fit in with the neighborhood. That's, when the kids would tease you about this or that, get me on the basketball court, or we'd play football, and they're like, oh, that's how I kind of fit in, is where through doing athletic stuff. So that was a big part of it, too, is just how I related to the Donkeylips. And I love the budding relationship with him and Sponge. They were kind of the lackeys for the group. Everybody's sending them to get their stuff, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna get through this together. We don't care if everybody likes us. We're gonna do us, and we're gonna do it together. And I got your back, and you got mine, and that's just it's a really good friendship episode. So I love everything about the episode, but those are the main points for me.
That moment where they're in the where Donkeylips is wheeling the wheelbarrow and Sponge is in it on the way to the Burger Shack is particularly poignant for me, because I feel like that's one of those moments where they really hit it off together, and we don't really see those characters connect much before that. Like Donkeylips starts off as like Budnick's right-hand man / muscle to help him like bully kids, and by this point it's around a little bit after the half point in season 1. And we just see, a little bit more character development and a little bit more true colors coming out with all these different characters as we focus certain episodes on one or the other. And for this one, it's definitely a twofer between them, because they're both trying out for, this big wrestling competition. And Sponge is underweight, Donkeylips is overweight, so they're kind of helping each other reach their goals to do that. And I really love the heart that goes into all the obstacles that they had to overcome, even if they did have to get like a massive amount of cheeseburgers for everyone else at the bunk. It actually reminds me, while I'm thinking of it, of like this fun little training montage where actually your character, Venus Telly, is like helping them ring the bell and having Sponge eat bananas while Donkeylips is doing laps around, and it's playing this like silly saxophone music in the meantime. I thought that was a lot of fun and a highlight of why I enjoyed the quirkiness of Salute Your Shorts.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn. What is one of your other choices?
Okay, I love Zeke the Plumber. We had a reunion in Portland, and it was in a movie theater, and we actually screened that episode. And because I haven't really watched the shows like recently. Like I don't really, like, you guys really know what's going on. Like you've seen them recently. But that episode, seeing that episode again, it was just like, whoa, the concepts here and all the stuff that and then having a dream sequence, and that was really fun. And just that episode, we had a night shoot. So that was like, we got to shoot, I think, for 2 nights. And that meant that we got to work like later on in the day. School was over at 4 p.m. So we didn't have to be tutored that day, really. So it was and then it was like a slumber party, like all your friends, and it's nighttime. So we were just acting like, how you just kind of like, if it's nighttime and you have a bunch of, with kids together, they just kind of go a little bit more crazy. So we definitely it just had so much fun doing that in the woods and having Ugg strung up by his leg. And I mean, usually when people are doing other scenes, you don't stand there and watch, but we were doing so much cool stuff that you had to watch while they were shooting it, because it was so awesome. It was like, what? And getting chased through the woods. And if you ever watch any of the gag reel of that, it's pretty ridiculous, like people forgetting their lines and stuff, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to talk about Zeke the Plumber when we talk about Salute Your Shorts, even if we try to set it aside to give some of the lesser known episodes some spotlight time. It's great all around, and it's surprisingly dark for Salute Your Shorts. Like, only the second episode in, it's like, oh, we have Michael comes to camp. Hey, welcome to camp, everyone. And then boom,
right.
Get hit with this urban legend of this guy who got his nose bit by a parrot off in the Philippines, and he's like a custodian who sucks your dreams out of your head with a plunger. And it just reminds me of any typical Are You Afraid of the Dark monster. What are you doing here, Zeke? You should be on that show, not this show. Right. Speaking of which, do you remember that scene where you dressed up in that ball gown, Telly, with Zeke, and you're like, I gotta get out of the ball.
Yeah. That was so much fun. I mean, it's funny because as my character being a tomboy, but I am somewhat of a tomboy, but I don't hate dresses, you know what I mean? But it was just fun to be thinking about that, okay, I'm a tomboy, and it's this is my motivation, it's everything is so clear. But I remember the camera being up really high and coming in, and it just, everything felt so dramatic, and that really inspired me to become a filmmaker. This show too, because it's you get to see all the different things that they're using, the tools and the arms and how they're accomplishing these shots. that really wanted me to get, inspired me to get behind the camera. But yeah, that episode is just so much fun.
That is an iconic episode.
Yeah.
Brett, what is your number one?
Well, I'm going the road less traveled with this one in my list because we only were able to pick 3. If I were able to pick more, I'd pick more highlights, Zeke being one of them. But I like this one because it's a real underdog story, and it's from season 2. And I think Justin will actually resonate with it a little bit too because it focuses on Donkeylips. And it's one of those moments where it feels like there's this big grandiose event happening at Camp Awnawana, and everyone's involved, kind of like what we mentioned with Dodgeball before, except, everyone has their part to play, and then Donkeylips has like this big hurdle to overcome, literally. And he just has to like really prove himself that he can do these things and that he's not like as like on the sidelines as everyone else would like to label him as. So for my final pick, I'm actually going to go with Capture the Flag. And that's an episode where they play like a camp-wide game of Capture the Flag against a rival camp. And Donkeylips has to like go through this training gauntlet with like tires specifically that he can't do. He struggles with that without like tripping on them, which I've tried it before. It is pretty tough if you're not like watching your feet. It's not easy by any means unless you're like in the military. But I really like that feeling of triumph that like Donkeylips puts everything out on the line to get the flag for them on the other team and is just able to avoid all of the opposing team and all the doubts and just really come out on top in the end to prove himself worthy. And plus, who doesn't love seeing Budnick getting pelted by dozens of water balloons at the very end by his fellow bunkmates? It's like the cherry on top or the bow on top, whether you prefer.
Yeah, anytime we get to throw stuff at people, it was like everybody was standing there with the balloon or whatever. Like it'd be like the whole cast and crew getting their licks in. So yeah.
He's like, hey, you got water balloons? Here, let me get in on that before you run out. Hey, you got pies? Ooh, I want to throw one.
That's awesome. And I mean, it was somebody's job to fill up those water balloons, Oh, that episode was so much fun to shoot too. I mean, it was like a war sequence almost. So we're out there in the trenches, hiding, and I mean that's just so much fun.
Definitely. I actually remember Ugg like taking it to the next level, like he's a commander and he had like this little model of camp at like the lodge, and he had the TV with like the radio so you can like patch into Sponge's camera to see everyone. It was a lot of like groundbreaking stuff at the time.
Right?
And he's just at one point he's just like playing with the little characters like just being a kid behind the scenes, because we know Ugg is secretly a kid at heart and one of the kids too. It's got a lot of great grandiose moments and like arcs coming to a head, but it's also got lots of tiny little moments that just give you a breath of fresh air in between.
My number one, which watching it as a kid and watching it as an adult hits two very different places, but very much Cursed Skull was one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I know Zeke the Plumber is incredibly iconic, especially in the 90s Nickelodeon community, and fans of the show love that episode, and for good reason. But as a kid, I don't remember seeing that episode. I don't even think they re-aired it after they ran it after a few episodes. So I never saw it as a kid. Probably a good thing. I would have been terrified of it. I was a pussycat as a child. I was terrified of everything.
Yeah.
But this episode, I was a very superstitious kid. So I was all about, knock on wood, don't break the mirrors and all that kinds of things. And the fact that this episode was all about a skull, and then everything starts to go bad, escalating from just a few spills to something could be really dangerous. I was really invested, but that wasn't what the story was really about. It was very much about the girls, and it was very much about Telly and Dina and how much the two of them just did not get along, and how they were constantly at odds with each other because they were so different. And then ZZ in the middle trying to find a way to make amends and let's chill out. And the three of them were forced to go, well, not forced, but tricked by Budnick and his secret society of the Skull Gang for the girls to go into this cave and spend the night with the Skull. But it was really about these three people setting aside their differences and learning how to just talk to each other and learn that they have more in common than they would think. And you only have 20 minutes to do that. And as a kid, the superstition part really got to me, but it was the how you resolve differences is what stuck with me the most. And as a kid, I had said this earlier, I had a terrible temper when I was a kid, and I got mad if someone just looked at me wrong, and I didn't know how to control my temper. And this episode really helped start to change the way I was thinking about how I resolve conflict. And it's something, it's a kid show, but it's still very much a lesson that needs to be brought up, especially in today's society. And I love the message of this episode.
Wow. That's like mine as well. Like I now have to pick another episode. Actually, what I want to talk about. But we shot that in the Batman caves. So the caves that are in Griffith Park, not far from the Boys and Girls Camp that we used to shoot at. We used to mostly shoot at the boys' camp, but it was the Batman caves.
Like the '60s Batman TV show, the Adam
yeah,
West one?
And when you anytime you see him driving driving through caves, actual caves, that's where we shot it. And
dude,
yeah, that alone. I remember being, at night, being there, and there's, you're there in the caves that they shot Batman, So that was
cool.
Were you expecting him to show up during your Cannon of Clay girl scenes? Like behind the junk?
Right? Man, I mean, so that was really a cool experience. Now, I can't really remember much of the episode. Like the fact that you're telling all of that part about it, I just remember that the caves were so awesome. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's why I like that one.
Well, we have good news for Slimesters and Gackoids, along with you, Venus, that we're actually going to be doing a formal episode review of the Cursed Skull for our spooky season bunch of episodes. It's actually going to be a Patreon exclusive, but we'll definitely send you a link to that so you can check it out.
For sure. Please do.
Justin, what is your number one?
So I have to go the obvious route because it's just so important to me. But Zeke the Plumber, I got into horror movies at a very young age. When this came out and I was watching Nickelodeon and it came on and I was like, did somebody change the channel? Like, what's happening here? And like when I realized I saw the cast and I was like, wait, like this is like the best of both worlds for me. I actually wore my Zeke the Plumber shirt, and I have a little stuffed figure.
Very nice.
That's so cool.
So I have a stuffed Zeke. But yeah, I mean, you could talk all day about this one. You guys have said so much about it. My favorite line from the episode is actually from Venus whenever Telly says, I got to get out of the ball, like Brett was saying. Whenever I'm forced to this day with like a mundane activity, I'm mowing the grass, I'm stuck at work, I'm stuck in traffic, I just start muttering in my head to myself, I got to get out of the ball. I got to get out of the ball. Like,
that's great.
So
that's
awesome.
That's
the way I express like frustration. Like I need to be going, like get me out of here. I think one of the funniest lines in the episode is from Budnick whenever he was asked what's the difference between ruffles, and he's basically like one has ruffles and one doesn't.
Hey, what is this? It's a bag of potato chips. I asked for ruffled potato chips. Hey, what's the difference? One has ruffles and the other one doesn't.
But yeah, that's I have to at least claim that as being in my top three. I have an alternate that I could go with, but it's just I don't know. I think Zeke is he's iconic to the series, even though he was only in one episode. It's just when I think of like Are You Afraid of the Dark, I think of Zebo the Clown. When I think of Salute Your Shorts, I think of the whole cast, and Zeke the Plumber is right there in the center with them. Like, just just a masterpiece episode, and I like that my friends were too scared to watch it with me, so it made me feel like, come on, man, because I was watching like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff at age 4, so.
Yeah, it's hard not to mention Zeke. I mean, another masterful performance by the late Kirk Bailey. He was actually Zeke the plumber under that mask, and man, did he look creepy in that thing. I don't know what they did with like the lighting or just even where they got that mask.
He changed his voice for it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that character, I mean, and the thing is like because you know like the whole story about him, like the whole like, you know, the origin story, all of that was provided. So it's like it allowed you to like use your imagination, and you know, you believe this guy was real.
It really enhanced the lore of like the camp. Like it has a dark, seedy underbelly that we're just getting a glimpse of thanks to Budnick's ghost story. Like it's almost like what happened at camp before camp became all sunny and cheerful as we know in 1991.
And I'm really happy they included this in the series too, because when you think of camp, and like I said, I don't have any experience going to camp, but when you think of camp, you think of the daily, you know, the swimming, the activities. But when nighttime comes around, I'm sure everybody's telling their ghost stories, you know, so you have to have something like that included.
I've been to church camp many times, and even then at church camps, there was still a fire. They still had a campfire. Off to the side over at another little hut where they actually had concessions. They had a karaoke machine over there, but by the fire pit, they were still telling ghost stories. So yes, very, very much so.
Same at Boy Scout camp too. It was hard not to go one night without telling stories to people who like couldn't sleep. And we all had like, you know, different campground areas that were segmented off by troop and, you know, a fire pit in the center. So if we didn't have anything else to do, or if we were up late, we'd always just kind of flock to the fire in the center and, you know, just tell some good old stories, either scary ones or just stories that we want to share with other people. And it was a really great chance to bond through it as well.
At my camp, I went to, it was called Camp Hollywood. It's still a camp. It's called Camp Hollywoodland. And it was actually where we were shooting. We mostly shot at the boys' version of that camp. So I hadn't really there, but I got the opportunity to shoot a lot there. But so at my camp, it was one thing that I remember that I thought was hilarious was someone would memorize the whole movie Princess Bride and play both characters in the scene, the poison scene. So we would sit down and people would like act out that scene perfectly. And it was just like inconceivable. And then, you know, it's like, so to have like, yeah, so that's how I remember, you know, camp. And we didn't really necessarily have scary stories, but they had that movie memorized, and we just couldn't wait to have somebody do their impression. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
Well, since I stole your number one pick, sorry. what is your follow-up pick?
Oh man, I know. I was just looking at the episodes because we talked about the Cave Girl. That was really cool. I'm trying to remember. Okay, my dog is. It's okay. No
we
problem.
got a dog, a cat, and a kid that's half naked on this show.
Yeah.
We're doing great.
My son shows up in his shorts.
There we go. Man,
do you remember Mail Carrier Mona at all?
Yes, she was awesome.
Christine Cavanaugh.
Awesome. I mean, and then there was that one in the lake. And that's when Kirk jumps into the lake.
Yep.
For her. I mean, we were all standing there, and apparently he busted out his eardrum doing God, when I go to that lake now, it's so different than when we were shooting there. But that lake was disgusting. It's like you can't see the bottom. I mean, I guess that's how all lakes are. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of brown, kind of murky.
Yeah, like you did not want to be in there. And I mean, I can't believe like I actually was in that lake. Like, the one episode where we had the 3-legged race.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, what is that one? It has Pinsky in it, right?
Yeah. And we were tied together. And there's actually a part where we actually jump into the lake. So that was very memorable, even though we can't remember this.
I think it's Budnick Loves
was a
Dina
lot of
part
fun.
1 or 2, because I just remember everyone getting crutches by the end of the episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Bunnick was
that
with Dina on the boat.
Yep.
Okay. And I think we had frogs in an episode. There was like a frog.
Oh yeah,
lady.
it's Counselor Budnick, where like Budnick switches with Ugg his duties for like backwards weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like warp breath was found by Dina in like her shoe, and then ZZ pulls it out, and then they have like a fight over who takes ownership over it, and they do this like Solomon's baby thing where they like do a chalk ring around it on like a picnic table, and you know whoever like takes it is warp breath's true owner, and ZZ ended up getting it.
Oh man, that was definitely a very cool episode. And anytime we got to work with getting to work with animals. So the animal trainers, they brought those frogs for us, and of course you have to have like someone there who's in charge. They also brought a monkey, a chimpanzee, to the set that day. So I've got some great pictures of me with this holding. Well, they said it was Michael Jackson's Bubbles. It was, and Bubbles had gotten too old, and so they were taking care of Bubbles. And so there was this chimp with the diaper on this, like, to go to work or to, wake up and like get to interact like one-on-one with the chimpanzee. It wasn't like he was in a cage. I mean, they did have a cage for him, but like it was pretty crazy. And that was just because we had frogs on that episode. So it's like it goes a lot deeper than just the experience or just that episode. It was like there's so much other stuff going on that's so cool.
Yeah, and that's why we love hearing about people who worked on shows share their experiences on Splat Attack, no matter what show it is, because they always have that little bit of extra behind the scenes knowledge that no one else can seem to dig up, and it's just pure gold to be able to share that with both the people on air and with our listeners too.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing all those stories you've mentioned so far.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, working with frogs, like that's so cool.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of frogs myself. I like green's
and
my favorite color.
Big, those were big frogs. Like I've never seen frogs like that since.
Like the size of your head, practically.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah.
and for them to have so many, and like, it's just that's just I don't know. It's just really fun.
So your last pick then is which of those multiple episodes?
Yes, all of those multiple episodes mixed together is my final answer. Yes,
Which we have proven officially now that it's hard to pick just 3 Salute Your Shorts episodes as our favorites, because we all love them all. We're just trying to do this for formality's sake and for time's sake, but our secret answer is we love them all. Go watch the series.
There you go. There you go. You win.
Well, even though we kind of just mentioned it now, of course, every Salute Your Shorts episode has their own, beautiful moments to bring to the table. We do have some honorable mentions that we'd like to mention that, are also memorable, but they didn't quite make our list. So we can just go around real quick and mention, one honorable mention each, and just comment on, why it's still special to us, even though it's not quite, top tier or super vivid in our minds. And I'll start. I did have Zeke the Plumber on my list, but I didn't want to be like going with the crowd because I knew everyone was going to say Zeke the Plumber, Zeke the Plumber. It is great, but for the sake of mentioning lesser known episodes, because I like to promote the show, not just Zeke, I actually like Michael and Budnick fake being sick. And for those who don't know, that is simply known as the ice cream episode, where they have to stay in the nurse's office after they fake blowing chunks to get out of instructional swim. And they put on all this tinfoil to get their TV to work, only to have it like come in Spanish and all fuzzy. And they really have like a true bonding moment where they get some character development and meet eye to eye, because for pretty much most of season 1, Michael and Budnick immediately had like a rivalry going on, because Budnick just didn't like the new kid. He was like all perfect, even though he was like the every kid that viewers at home could relate to. And it really gave us a little bit more perspective as to why Budnick has a chip on his shoulders, having his like dad not being around and his mom like having to work late, and also I think she was like a stewardess on an airline, and he didn't like having a stand-in dad around, a stepdad, or like his mom's boyfriend. And one thing that he didn't like was like how he would make Budnick do puzzles with them as like a bonding exercise. And yet somehow he was able to use something he didn't like about his personal history to an advantage, because while Budnick and Michael were kind of wrestling with each other, literally and figuratively, in that nurse's office, while everyone else was like on a trip to the beach, which they never really got to.
Right.
They ended up doing a puzzle together upside down, and when they flipped it, you got to see all that beautiful ice cream in that puzzle. It must have been like 1,000 pieces. And then Budnick just shows up with the lock saying, "I cracked the lock. Have at it. We can just dig in like gallons and gallons and gallons of ice cream that the nurse had locked away for like people who had tonsil issues." And I think that started my love of ice cream, I have to say, because that's my earliest memory growing up. I was like 3 back then, and I just remember, wow, ice cream. This is what it's like to have it. Just that jubilant feeling of something sweet, creamy to cool you off during summer. And it just felt like a true victory to not only have them finally get on the same level, but to just reap the rewards while everyone else was like busy getting lost in Ugg's van. So I have to mention that just because it still has a special place in my heart, even today.
Well, my honorable mention, which I'll just fly through, but it's not one episode, it's 2 episodes, but it's Budnick Loves Nina parts 1 and 2. And the reason I like that episode so much is just because you get to see a side of Budnick that you normally don't see. It's just, he's vulnerable, and we don't see that often in the series, and I really liked it for that reason.
That's all I have to say about that.
I have to go with Donkeylips' crush on Dina. It's one of those fun episodes where everybody's working together. They're trying to solve the clues and trying to get to the end. And a less fun side, that was the first time I saw on television or somebody my age dealing with having a crush on someone and being disappointed. That felt real. That felt like a real connection of like, oh wait, like, so other people don't always get what they want to, or you know what I mean? Like, that's the first time I saw it portrayed in like an adult situation. Like, you see like rom-coms and stuff, that kind of stuff happen, but for kids, I've never seen anybody get their heart broken before. And the way that he kind of gets a little subtle win in the end and has her laughing and stuff, I just felt like, I don't know, in that moment I had hope after the heartbreak. I was like, oh, so if you're just a good person and stick with it and be yourself, then maybe there is a chance, So just a really great episode for that reason alone.
What about the Treasure of Sierra Madre?
Well, I guess that's your honorable mention.
That's my honorable mention because I remember the dirt fight where one thing that stands out in my mind is having my mouth open when someone actually threw a whole thing of dirt in my face. Like, I'll never forget that. It's like,
that's memorable.
Yeah, right. I mean, but it's like it's scripted, so like you gotta stand there and do it again.
Oh my gosh.
Close your mouth. But that's something that just stood out in my mind, mainly because I got a mouthful of dirt. But but that was also a really cool episode too.
Yeah, we got to see lots of dancing all around camp. Ugg like painfully manicuring like his baseball field blade by blade.
Right? Yeah.
So, it was a lot of fun for an early episode.
Another fun thing was, I think we were playing soccer in one episode. Anytime, playing soccer, there's an episode where I got to play soccer, and there was an episode where I got to throw a baseball. And it was so funny because I'm not a pitcher. So I had to, that night I was practicing my throws, and not thinking, you got to do an underhand throw for softball. I was like, oh man, I practiced overhand the whole time. But yeah, that was also a lot of fun too.
Definitely. I'm trying to think what episode it came from. I think it's Bunk Chief Elections, but one of your quotes really stood out is that when life zigs, you gotta zag, and you're like telling
zig, don't
zag while playing soccer and like getting the goal to like get her vote for Bunk Chief Elections.
Some candidates with a lot of money who shall remain nameless may zig when they should have zagged, leaving themselves way out of position, while other candidates know exactly how to put you in scoring position.
All right, solid picks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing all your favorites.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into a speedy round of this or that.
This or that, this or that. Time to play this or that.
Okay, so for this or that, I'm going to ask 5 questions to each of you, and you just tell me what you prefer, this or that. You can elaborate if you want, or you can just keep it simple. So, question 1. Avoiding UGG at the movies or avoiding UGG at the Burger Shack? Which do you prefer?
Movies. I'm all about the movies.
Movies.
I'm gonna go Burger Shack because are you talking about what do I like better or what would I rather least be caught in?
What would you rather encounter? Like trying to avoid UGG at the movies or trying to avoid UGG at a Burger Shack?
Burger Shack, you have more space to get away. And he was distracted by somebody. So I think the movies was a tight quarters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Burger Shack.
I'm going to go with Burger Shack as well, just because, easy to maneuver. You got a wheelbarrow as your getaway car, and you got food with you, so you don't even have to go hungry in the way. I mean, it might be harder to get some popcorn with someone behind the counter, not trying to slap your wrist for stealing it, but yeah, Burger Shack. So 2-2, tied up. Question 2, Bugnick's guitar or Telly's tennis racket?
Telly's tennis racket.
I'm a rock and roller. I got to go with the guitar.
I love guitars. That's all I think about while I'm at work. So, yeah, I have to go guitar.
I'm actually going to go with tennis racket because I used to play tennis with my father, and this episode would come to mind as I was learning my backhand, which I was very bad at. Question 3, the ultimate salute your shorts question. Michael or Pinsky?
Michael. If I was at the camp and I had to deal with one of the two of them, I'd rather work with Michael.
I think Pinsky's way cooler. So by default, I guess I would have to hang out with Michael because I'm not cool enough to hang with Pinsky.
Venus, you?
Oh, Pinsky.
Gotta love that salami. He's got the famous patented salami, and UGG is just like over the moon. Yeah.
Yes, very much.
Yeah. I can't choose. I want to choose, but I can't. So I gotta. Pinsky's more fun. Michael's more relatable for me. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Michael because of the whole ice cream connection with my episode. Ellen, Kahn, or Thud Mackey? Which troublemaker do you prefer from the show?
If it was between the little bratty girl or the dude who could whip my tail, girl, Ellen.
I like a good practical joke, so I'd rather deal with her. Thud legit scared me when I was a kid. I was like, that kid he's gonna murder this boy, so I was terrified.
I'm gonna go with the girl.
I'm gonna go with Ellen as well. She does have a very mischievous side to her, but she doesn't seem as threatening as Thud. Like Thud, I feel like can flatten you like Michael flattened those brownies. And finally, question 5 of this or that. Season 1 intro of Salute Your Shorts or the Season 2 intro? They're similar, but they're actually slightly different with both the shorts raising and the sequences being filmed to the song.
I did not know those were different. The things are different. No way, that's so cool. Oh, you know what else is different in the opening? My name.
What's different? Did you have Venus DeMilo Thomas listed for Season 2? Or
Yeah.
Season 1? Okay. That I did not catch.
My mom's name is Venus, and so she became an actress, and we couldn't have so it was like, well, why don't I put on my last name too, so that you're not the same person. But yeah, so that's the difference. I mean, my name didn't really change, and that's so funny because people were like, "Did you get married or something?" Like I was in high school. Like no.
I actually wondered, and hopefully you don't mind me asking this question: have you ever gotten people asking you like your name relative to like the Venus DeMilo like classical art piece? Because I think that's with Aphrodite and the half shell.
Yeah, that you're talking about Botticelli there. Yeah, look at you. You really looked it up. No,
were you named after that?
Yeah. I mean, well, my mom's name is Venus, like I said. So in order to like, so we're not exactly the same. I'm Venus DeMilo Thomas, and Venus DeMilo is a famous statue that's in the Louvre, and I went to go visit that. And there's also like an island of Milos that I kind of want to go to because of my name. I'm actually planning to go to Greece next year. But yeah, there's all that history behind it. So it's like I really identify with that. And yeah, I mean, I got a really cool name. It was not cool when I was young because I was like Venus Penis, you know.
Oh no!
So, you know, but
Kids
like
are
as
cruel.
I got older, you know, it was really cool. It was like Venus, if you will. There's like songs that have Venus. I'm your Venus, you know.
Right.
So it got, you know, it's definitely got cooler. But like that Venus Penis, that stayed with me for a long time. you had it tough.
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that, but I do have to say, for all those haters who don't know better, your name has aged like fine wine. So be proud of that. That you are.
That's right.
You are the equivalent of amazing classical timeless art.
Tell them, Brett.
Yeah. Slimesters and Gackoids, if you're hiding out there and you're trying to make fun of your name, get out
Right?
of here.
Get out of here. Don't make fun. Please.
So, I mean, we can just say it's a draw for this one because I think they're both great.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, that's this or that. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We'd love to hear from our Slimesters and Gackoids who are our listeners and watchers of Splat Attack. What are some of your favorite Salute Your Shorts episodes or memories? Feel free to email us at splatattack2021@gmail.com, and we'll read your responses on a future Mona's Mailbag segment. Just want to thank Justin and Venus for being here again and sharing some of their favorite Salute Your Shorts memories. It was a joy to hear like all your experiences and just growing up tied to all these things. And if you want to plug anything, feel free to do it now.
Oh yeah, I've got a show, an animated show that I did. It's gonna be on Netflix, and look out for it. Follow me on Instagram. I'll let you know when I'm gonna be posting it. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. I get to do a voice, which is something I've always wanted to do. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that
what is your Instagram handle so everyone can follow you?
So it's my full name. It's Venus_DeMilo_Thomas. So if you look at that, like me, be my friend, and you can stay tuned and see some of the cool stuff that I'm gonna be doing. Some very cool stuff coming. So
awesome. That sounds very exciting, Venus. Can't wait to see it. Justin, would you like to plug anything?
No, I'm not very interesting.
Oh, come on. You're my friend. You gotta have something interesting about you.
I'm pretty active on Instagram. My Instagram's _andJustinForAll. I
love that Metallica reference, by the way.
Yeah. I post things that I'm interested in, so maybe you guys are interested in some of the stuff I'm interested in. Check it out. But
yeah.
No, have nothing that you'd be looking forward to coming out. So
gotcha. Well, if nothing else, our listeners can chat with you about Salute Your Shorts, as you proved today. You have a wealth of knowledge on the show.
Yeah, my DMs are open. If you want to talk anything nostalgia, just hit me up. It just makes my day to talk about this stuff. So
thank you. It was fun walking down memory lane with you guys.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You guys really know what you're talking about, because I would have been lost. I'm like, the one where there was
that guy with the plunger.
Right, there's a plunger. I don't know.
Yeah. He unclogged the toilet and he found a stuffed hippo.
Right? Oh gosh, details.
That was horrifying, that scene.
Yeah.
But anyways, we digress. With that being said, Alex, will you drain our souped-up slime tank for us, please? I'm going to help Donkeylips and Sponge bring a wheelbarrow full of burgers back to the bunks.
I call Captain. Don't forget Pinsky's salami. It could come in handy warding off Ugg, and grab me a burger while you're there.
Me too!
Hurry up, guys! Ugg is on our trail. Watch out! Splat you later, campers!
Reprise the theme song and roll the credits.
Hard to believe, folks, but it's time to say goodbye.
Nighty-night.
Hey,
Check us out next time for more adventure and another great legend of the Hidden Temple.
What'll we do till then?
Chill for a couple. We'll be back. You're on, Nick.
And it was time for the superhero to move on.
I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society closed.
Bye-bye.